I was bored the other night and TNT'd a gigantic hole in the floor of my cave base. I really thought this was gonna look so good when I did this the other day. But I mean, this is just an eyesore. So today I'm going to try and make something out of this mistake. And while I do that, I'm going to read stories that have been emailed to me by subscribers. Thank you so much to everybody who's written in. Let's go ahead and read the first subscriber story. Am I wrong for potentially breaking up a marriage of a former close friend? I'll try to keep this short. It's a really long story. I'm a 20-year-old guy, and I had a female friend who's 23 years old that I met online. We talked nearly every day and eventually got close. We grew romantic feelings for each other and started dating online. Fast forward a few months, and the relationship fizzled out, even after we had met in person. I eventually found out due to her sister that she was married. I had no idea, and was completely devastated. She never mentioned that she was married or in any type of relationship at all, even though I never straight up asked her. I informed the sister that we had dated and that she had essentially cheated on her husband with me. I felt like I had betrayed her trust in telling her sister all of this, but I was also extremely emotional. I cut off all contact with the friend, the married one, and later on I received a message from her husband asking what had happened. I responded and told him everything that we did. I assume something happened with the marriage, however, I don't know what. I've not heard anything since, but I've recently felt extremely guilty that I'm in the wrong. I unknowingly was part of an affair that I never would have taken part in if I had known. Do you have any advice to get rid of any negative feelings or guilt about all of this? I appreciate the thoughtfulness that you're showing. It's clear that you're a caring person, but honestly, I think you're being too hard on yourself. Like, she's an adult who made a decision to enter into an online relationship with you while being married to another man. If she's experiencing blowback in her marriage because of this, it's just the consequences of her own actions. It's not your fault. And she withheld that information from you. Like you said, you wouldn't have done it if you had known she was married. So no, I don't think you need to feel guilty at all. You handled it the way that you thought was necessary once you had all the information. I think you had a completely valid response. Like, when the husband reached out to you, you did the right thing. It's not your job to lie for his wife. And I don't think the question of whether this was physical or emotional cheating matters in this context. I don't think it really matters in any context. Reaching out and getting romantic validation from someone who isn't your partner without your partner's permission is just wrong. And if she didn't have explicit permission from her husband, I'm sure she knew what she was doing was wrong. Give it some time and space. I hope you start to feel better about this. You were misled, so I don't think you have anything to feel guilty about here. I also just want to reiterate really quickly that I'm never going to have the best opinion on anything. I'm just a guy on the internet playing Minecraft, giving my opinion on these situations. If you disagree with me on any of these, that's totally fine. We're never going to agree on everything. But that was a wild one. Let's go ahead and read another story here. Okay, this next email is titled, "Am I the asshole for being upset that my boyfriend isn't invited to my aunt's wedding?" They write, "Okay, this story has a decent amount of backstory, so here we go. I'm a 20-year-old female, and I lived with my aunt when I was in high school. That's also a long story, but basically my mom couldn't afford to take care of me. My aunt, she's 31 and female, was nice enough to take me in, and we have been pretty close our whole lives. Anyway, when I was in high school, I dated a boy whose older brother was about the same age as my aunt. They ended up dating, but I broke up with the little brother shortly after I went to college that's really far away. About 3 months later, I start dating a boy from school. It goes really well, and we decided to move in together. We adopted a cat, and decided, after a year of dating, that he needed to meet my family. I was 19 then, and I told my mom that my boyfriend was coming home for Christmas. I didn't really think much of it since it seemed like the next natural step, and I was super excited to introduce him to my family. I assumed that I'd be staying with my aunt during Christmas, until my mom called me and told me that my aunt said that my boyfriend wasn't allowed to stay at her house. She said they were really worn out from work and that she didn't want a stranger staying with her. We ended up staying with my mom, who was also worn out from work, and lives in a small camper on someone else's property, and does not have the space for guests. We spent a few nights with her and then started couch surfing for the rest of the week because my mom and her boyfriend had work, and I felt bad for making them sleep on a little camper couch. I was super embarrassed by this. My friend's parents were more hospitable than my own family towards my boyfriend. Now my aunt is getting married at the end of this week, and I'm flying out for the wedding, and I'm a bridesmaid. My boyfriend is explicitly not invited. Here's the real kicker. One of the groomswomen is staying on my aunt's couch for the week of the wedding. A woman she barely knows is staying on her couch during one of the most stressful weeks of her life. But my boyfriend and I couldn't stay on her couch during Christmas? And it's not like an intimate wedding. Loads of extended family is coming, including spouses of people that my aunt barely knows. At this point, it feels targeted, and I'm just very frustrated because my boyfriend's family has been nothing but kind to me. They accepted me into the family with open arms. I went to his cousin's wedding. I went to his family's Thanksgiving. I'm an active member of his family, and my family specifically doesn't invite him to things or let him stay in their homes. I get that it's her wedding, and she should be able to invite who she wants, but I still feel hurt. Am I being an asshole? I'm really torn, because on the one hand, if I were you, I would absolutely be offended as well. Like if I'm in the wedding party and I'm a family member, I would kind of be expecting to get a +1, especially if a bunch of other people are getting +1s. That does feel a little bit shady. But on the other hand, it's your aunt's wedding, and you're absolutely right. She should be able to invite whoever she wants. It's her day. And weddings are expensive. It could just be a matter of cost. I don't know, I wouldn't really feel comfortable bringing it up before the wedding and causing a scene. That just seems counterproductive. And your aunt is probably stressed as it is. It's also sort of the same thing with not letting you guys stay in her house for Christmas. It's her house, and she can choose whether or not she wants you both crashing on her couch. But I do agree with you, I would also feel slighted, especially if I had been living there for years. Maybe sometime after the wedding, you just need to have an honest conversation with your aunt and ask her what the deal is, and tell her that you feel like your boyfriend isn't being accepted into the family. So no, I definitely don't think that you're being an asshole or overreacting for feeling this way. I would feel the exact same way, and I would probably get petty about it, which I don't recommend. I would just wait until after the wedding and then have a conversation about it. Also, did you say that your aunt started dating your boyfriend's older brother? Did we just gloss over that? I feel like that's weird. Is that not like a little bit strange? It's at least of note. Maybe I'm taking crazy pills, but that seems strange. Okay, let's move on. If it's not entirely evident at this point, I just have absolutely no plan for this build. I'm just sort of winging it, but I know that I want it to be a library. And I've always liked these natural designs that get left behind from TNT explosions. So I think I'm just going to follow the shapes that the TNT left behind and hope that it kind of looks good in the end. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, this subscriber wrote an email titled, "My mom is cheating on my dad." They write, "I'm a teenager and I have known for so many years that my mom is cheating on my dad that I've now lost track. By now it must be at least 4 years. I'm lost. I don't know what to do. I love my mom to bits, but I hate what she's doing. In my eyes, I'm in a terrible situation because I can either confront my mom, make her stop and keep it between us to keep our family together, which then ruins my relationship with my mom, or I can tell my dad and then tear our family apart in my teenage years. I hate this situation because both options are awful. My dad should know about the lie she has been living, but I don't really think I have it in me. My dad's family live in another country, and my mom's family is bigger, and they all live here in my country. So most of my extended family who live close by are on my mom's side. My sister is older and has just moved into college. It obviously would be terrible for her to find out, but at least she's moving forward in life and an adult now, and wouldn't have to deal with our parents' situation as much. I'm not sure if I sound like an asshole for saying that, because obviously it would be terrible for her. I know that, but I feel it would be worse if she was younger, or even worse, a young child. I don't know what to do, and I've been stuck with knowing this for years and it eats at me. All of my close friends know, and they agree with me that I'm in a terrible situation. Please give me your thoughts on this." I just want to start by saying that this situation is awful, and you should definitely talk to a professional about it. You shouldn't have to feel like you're alone in working through your emotions on this or bearing this whole burden yourself. I'm an authority on absolutely nothing, so I don't think I'll say too much on this, but I think if I were in your position, I would start with telling your older sister about what's going on. That way, at least you have somebody that you trust in the family to talk to about this, and maybe you can make a plan on how to handle it. But I think whatever you decide to do with this information will be the right decision. It's important to realize that none of this is on you or your fault. Any struggles your parents have from the truth coming out is not because you told them or shared the truth, it's because they were having issues in the first place. Sorry, that's all I'm going to say. Definitely talk to a mental health professional because that's a traumatic thing to go through, and they'll have better things to say than a YouTuber will ever give you. Alright, here's the next subscriber. They write, "I need some insight, or maybe just a comment on a situation about someone I met very recently. I'm a guy in secondary high school, living pretty well with good prospects for my future. This story starts about a year ago when my father advised me to maybe move to the other side of the country to study. The town I was going to move to was his old hometown. He grew up with friends that I know still live there and my grandparents. By that time I lived on the outer parts of a big city and was a little bit anxious about having to commute around 3.5 hours each day to senior high school. Being closer to my godfather, cousins, grandparents, especially when my grandmother of 80 years isn't in her greatest form, convinced me to move there. The housing and essential governmental paperwork was ready for the spring of this year, and I got accepted to the best senior high school in the area. Everything was so perfect until 3 days ago. My friend Rihanna asked if I wanted to go head to the city for some lunch and shopping. Being her friend and about to be moving in a week, I said yeah. When I got there, I met up with Rihanna and 2 of our mutual friends. We ate lunch, did some shopping, and had a bunch of fun. After a while, Rihanna asked if we wanted to go to a park to have some drinks and alcohol. I said yes, and others did as well. We then met up with this dude named Isaac. And a couple hours later, we had bought some Fanta, some Monster cans, and vodka. I'm not going to detail what happened, but I got really drunk alongside Isaac. I can't myself recall what happened between us, but my friends that weren't that drunk told me that we had cuddled and kissed and done a bunch of cute stuff. For the record, I've never been that close with guys before, but I've also never really been that close with girls either. The next morning I woke up and heard everything from my friend Rihanna, and I thought I was cooked. Like, when did I turn gay? I spent that day staying home because my parents kind of lost all trust in me. But the story doesn't end there. Later that day, I thought, maybe we should meet again. Why not? So I called Rihanna, another friend, and Isaac to see if they wanted to hang out at my place the next day, and everyone said yes. Back home at my place, we had fun, we talked, we walked my dog, and ate pizza for dinner. After dinner, Rihanna and the other friend had to go, so they left me with just Isaac. Me and him spent the next hour laying in my bed, scrolling through TikTok, listening to music. It felt nice. Too nice. I actually asked Isaac a couple times if I'm gay for everything we did those days, and he just dismissed it. He is gay and has known this about himself for a while. We ended up staying at my place doing all the above until it became dark. I followed him to the bus station as he left. He was pretty sad that I was going to be moving to the other side of the country. It would be a 5 or 6 hour train ride away. And he was exclaiming multiple times that he was going to miss me a lot. Now I'm writing this email, packing up my room into boxes because I'm leaving tomorrow. But I can't shake this feeling of sadness that I won't be able to be close to him again for another month or 2. Just before the school year ended, I kind of broke up with my friend group because one of them was being a huge dick and constantly harassing me. So during the summer, I had this growing feeling of a need to be close to someone. Now that I can't be with him, I feel super sad and hopeless, to the point that I'm starting to regret my life about moving and perhaps losing him. My question was like, maybe am I gay for all that's happened? In my life, I haven't really had a chance to explore my sexuality, and the fact that I feel this way makes me both uncomfortable and frustrated. Why do I have to feel this way now that I'm moving? I really had to pour this out because I want to move on, but I still can't really picture my life without him. I don't think it's worth changing your life plans over someone you literally just met. Like, sometimes you meet someone fantastic, but the timing just isn't right. It sucks, but it happens. But I think it's amazing that you found someone that you really enjoy spending time with, and you're both clearly into each other. You should absolutely keep in close contact while you're apart, and spend time together whenever you're back in the same place. Especially if you're going to be moving to an entirely new city, it'll be nice to have someone to talk to from back home. And who knows, if you keep up with each other, maybe in the future it can develop into something if you're ever living in the same city again. Or if you're really serious about it, there's always the option of doing a long-distance relationship. It's not for me to tell you what your sexuality is. That's for you to explore. People keep emailing me asking me if they're gay. And it's like, it's a lot of emails. I'm not like the gay decider. But I think this experience has given you a lot of clarity into yourself and who you like. I mean, you like this guy, maybe you just need to take it one person at a time. Also, not to sound super old, but as someone who's done my fair share of waking up after a night of drinking and not remembering anything or what happened, just be careful, okay? I'm so glad that it worked out and you found someone you like and you had a great time. But this is a very different situation if you got too drunk and didn't want any of this to happen. So just be careful, all right? Super well-written email, man. Moving new places is always scary. You're gonna do great. Let's read another email here. Before I forget to mention it, if you have a story that you want me to read in a video, you can send it to the email in the video description, or maybe I just put it on screen. It's somewhere. The stories have been incredibly well written. It's very hard to choose which ones to read. I wish I could include them all. Hey, I'm editing right now, and I'm just dropping in to tell you that this next story deals with some stalkery type stuff. So if that kind of thing bothers you, you've been warned. You can go ahead and skip to the next story. All right, this next email is titled, I transferred schools to get away from my stalker ex, but he found me. This subscriber writes, I'm a 17-year-old female, and I began dating a boy in my class, 17, male, during our junior year of high school. He was my first boyfriend, and I was his first girlfriend. We were both very new to the whole experience, and I was excited to be in a relationship, at least for the first few months. He was extremely loving and affectionate, but it quickly became a situation where I felt overwhelmed. We would spend 8 hours a day together at school, and he would demand that I either text him, spend time with him outside of school, or be on FaceTime with him until I would go to bed. He was also slightly controlling. He would ask me about my friends and what I did in my free time. He would also question what posts I liked on my social media accounts. He was not aggressive about these things at all. He would simply be very persistent and almost pout until I answered. I didn't question this behavior, but I slowly became more and more uncomfortable, and the relationship began to feel like a chore to me. I quickly decided that we needed to take a break. I told him that I was simply feeling overwhelmed and that we should take some time apart to discuss what was best for us later on. I asked him not to speak to me for a week and that we would discuss it then. He did not take that well. He took this time to harass me both in person and online. He would text me long paragraphs, call me several times a day, email me, and even had his mom message me to give him another chance. I was confused as I made it very clear that we were simply taking a break and that this was not a breakup. Eventually, it got to the point where he began to look physically exhausted at school, and his messages would detail his struggling. I felt guilty and scared. He was in almost all of my classes, and we still had over half the school year left, so I knew I couldn't avoid him. I ended up messaging him and putting everything that I felt aside just to stop him from essentially harassing and threatening me. For the rest of the year, I continued to be in a relationship with him, but withheld a huge part of myself. We were essentially just friends, as we did nothing that would be considered dating. We did not see each other outside of school, and I managed to get away with only texting or calling him outside of school hours. The same patterns continued, but he was starting to pick up on my discomfort and overall anxiety about the relationship. He would constantly be begging me not to break up with him, and I was essentially held hostage in a relationship that I so clearly did not want to be in. Both my friends and his friends could see the disconnect, but there was nothing that anyone could do or say to help him understand. At the start of our senior year of high school, I begged my parents to let me change schools, as I saw it as my only way out. After begging hard, my parents let me transfer schools and move in with my adult sister, who lived a few states away. So I broke up with my boyfriend, packed my bags, and started at my new school. I blocked my ex on every social media app that I had, blocked his email and his phone number. For a few weeks, he tried to contact me through all my friends, and even made new phone numbers to reach me. By Christmas, it had become quiet, and I assumed that he had finally moved on. I felt free for the first time in a year. I quickly realized what I had just done. I left behind my friends and everything I had known. I felt uncomfortable and unwelcome at my new school. Kids are mean, and it was close to impossible to make new friends in my senior year. Everyone already had their friends and had no interest in making new ones. I began to feel really homesick and straight up lonely. I stayed in contact with my friends from home through social media and would message them daily. I had always been an active person on social media, and I would often make friends online. I began messaging a girl that was my age online and quickly developed a friendship with this person that I had never actually met. She was nice and confided in me about problems that she had with a boyfriend of hers. I found her to be really funny, and we had a lot of similar interests. She was really active and would often post stories and photos of herself. She claimed to live a few states over, and we often made soft plans to meet one day. I trusted this girl and began to open up to her. I told her about my experiences with my ex and went into full detail about how I felt about my relationship. I also told her about other boys that I had crushes on and how I had picked the wrong one. She was super supportive of me and agreed with almost every point I made. We stayed friends all throughout senior year and messaged almost daily. I soon began to receive some follow requests from random Instagram accounts with strange usernames, and I almost immediately knew it was my ex. I blocked all these new accounts and hit the option that allows you to block any other accounts that user might have made. Imagine my shock when I look and see that my new online best friend is now blocked on Instagram. My best friend that I had confided in over the past year was my ex-boyfriend, and now knew every detail about how I felt about him. I've read this email a couple times now, and every time I get to this part, I'm just completely baffled. This is psychotic behavior. I can't believe it was literally just him the whole time. Anyways, back to where I was in the email. Trust me, it was not great, and I had very little good things to say about him. He knew that I essentially was faking any sort of admiration towards him for the entirety of our relationship. I freaked out, went private across all my social media, and scrubbed my accounts clean of any photos or information about myself. The experience was overall traumatic, and he's made me hesitant to enter into any sort of relationship at all. I'm now 18, and I've only had one experience with dating and don't plan to add any more to that list anytime soon. He has not bothered me recently, and I have plans to attend a college that is even farther away from him. I'm pretty over it now, and I'm able to laugh about the situation, but what do you think I should have done? I don't blame you for not wanting to get into a relationship after that experience. If that was my first experience dating, catch me literally never dating again. I think the comments are probably going to be more qualified to respond to this than I am, but I'm so sorry that you felt so trapped that you had to change schools. But it seems like you're a super strong person and you're handling this situation really well. We've had a lot of catfishing stories lately, and I'll say it again, just be careful who you talk to online. You're asking what you could have done differently in this situation. I think that just breaking it off sooner and not staying in a relationship just to appease this guy would have been best. But I mean, I completely get it. This is your first relationship and you're just figuring it out. Like, I absolutely don't want to sound like I'm putting that on you. But this is like where I feel unqualified because this is just not an experience that I've had as a guy. I completely understand that as a woman, it can be scary to break up with a guy who seems unstable because you're not sure what they're going to do or how they're going to react. To be fair, this was his first relationship as well, but like moving forward, I hope he figures out how to not be a creepy stalker in the future. But I'm glad that you're feeling better about this now. I wish you great luck in college and take your time getting into your next relationship. There's no rush at all. This next email is titled, "Does My Crush Like Me?" You wrote that you were 170 years old. So I'm going to assume that that's a typo and you're actually just 17 years old. We're going to go off that. Or you're just my oldest subscriber by far. This subscriber writes, I, 170, female, and my crush, 17, male, are good friends. We had been talking for a bit over the summer, and I expressed interest in wanting to get to know him and go out on a date. I said even if he rejected me, I would still like to be friends because he's cool. He agreed and said that he wasn't ready for a relationship. Since then, we've gotten closer and we text every day, call for 2 to 4 hours at times, etc. When me and him went out the other day, he wore cologne. He followed the sidewalk rule the whole time, telling me to move left. We got boba, and he was upset I paid, so to pay me back, he spent $103 on buying me 3 vinyls. He is so sweet and will not let me repay him. He's told some of his friends that he would date me if he could, but he's not allowed to date. And when I last asked, he said we were just very good friends. I feel like a marionette. He would also remember small details that I would tell him. He suggested we go out again together and said that I don't need to wear blush because I'm naturally rosy. Am I crazy? Does he like me or are we just friends? Yeah, I think this guy likes you. At least that's the vibe that I'm getting from the facts that you're telling us. I think you're going to run into a lot of guys at this age that aren't looking for a serious relationship, which is probably pretty frustrating. But I'm rooting for you guys, and if you're actually 170 years old, stay away from him. That's creepy. Okay, this next subscriber titled their email Birthday Incident. They write, a few days ago, it was my 20th birthday. I planned a small lunch with 2 of my closest friends. We've been friends for 4 years, and we're just locked in, man. I love the way you put that. They have a habit of always being late, so I begged them to be on time just this once. I specifically asked them to come by 2:30 because the sushi restaurant that I picked is a fancy place that closes at 4 before reopening at dinner. That day, I was already at the mall getting my nails done at 1 o'clock. When I finished, they texted me saying that they had left, so I rushed to get to the restaurant. But when I called after I reached the restaurant, I found out that they hadn't actually even left their houses yet. I was annoyed, but I still waited. I was waiting outside, but by 3:30, I entered the restaurant and the waiter told me that the kitchen was about to close in 5 minutes. So my only option was to order quickly without them. My friend finally arrived, and I just broke down crying. I know that I'm sensitive, but I was really hurt and frustrated. So I decided to just go home. I wasn't hungry anymore, and maybe a more mature person would have just gone somewhere else, but I couldn't. Both friends came home with me. They gave me a short apology and suggested other places, but I wasn't in the mood to eat. Yes, I should have spoken to them properly when they apologized, but after 5 minutes of barely trying, they went into my room to, quote, give me space. That upset me more because I felt abandoned. Later that evening, I had more friends coming over, so I distracted myself by decorating. My 2 close friends were there, but they didn't really talk to me. The next day, I explained why I was hurt, and said that I wished they had made more of an effort to make it up to me. Instead of resolving things, they sent me long, passive-aggressive paragraphs about how my personality is too sensitive, and that it's immature and makes it seem like I think the world revolves around me. They even called me rude for ignoring them as house guests, but to me they're like family, and what house guest would go into my room unannounced? They also said that I dragged it out for too long, that I was being irrational, and that I could have just gone to another place with them. I never expected them to suck up to me. I just wanted some comfort and for them to sit with me, not leave me alone. Now I feel like they've secretly resented me for a while and used this situation to unload everything, since they brought up a lot of other issues they have with my personality. It hurts because I always speak about them to others with love and respect, and the idea that they've been criticizing me for a while behind my back really hurts. If they had issues, they could have just told me before. Why use this disagreement to dump it all on me? So now I don't know what to do. Am I immature and sensitive for being so hurt? Should I continue being their friend, or is it better to just walk away? You're absolutely not immature for being hurt. Being over an hour late to a friend's birthday lunch is really disrespectful, and you're completely valid to be upset. That being said, I'm definitely a friend that is chronically late, so I may have to recuse myself on this opinion. But I'm never that late. Like, that's kind of ridiculous, especially when they lied and said that they had left when they hadn't. Being late a few times is fine, but, and I'm exposing myself a little bit here, if it's a habit, it's selfish. It just shows that you don't really respect other people's time. And your email is definitely making me reflect on that. Damn. Also, I know that feeling of people talking behind your back. It really sucks, and I'm sorry that you feel like they've betrayed your trust. You should probably move forward in your friendship with them, understanding that they aren't giving you the same respect that you give them. You might want to put emphasis on other relationships in your life where people are showing you the same respect that you show them. Here's my building tip for if you're hating how your build is going and you're worried your subscribers are going to find out you're a fraudulent builder. Just make your build overgrown and it automatically looks a little bit better. Like, see, I was getting worried that I was going to have to scrap this video, but now that's looking a little bit better. I'm not worried about it. I'm clearly not worried about it. You're worried about it. Okay, this next subscriber writes, I'm an 18-year-old male and I'm about to go to university and I've never kissed a girl or had any kind of romantic relationship. About 90% of my guy friends have all had relationships or at least kissed a girl before, so I feel like I'm missing out slightly, I guess. I've had opportunities to kiss a girl, or at least try to kiss a girl, at parties, festivals, but I've backed away due to a mixture of a lack of confidence and I'm not sure if it's what I want in the long term. I think I may have an image or plan of love in my head that I'll marry my first kiss, like my granddad, who I look up to lots and passed away a couple years ago. And I have this image that the first girl I like, I will fall in love with and happily ever after, etc. I believe this view has come from what I've been exposed to throughout my life regarding films and some family being religious. Recently, when I've been talking to my friends about why I haven't had a romantic connection with girls before, I just say that I'm waiting for university before getting a girlfriend, as if it's that easy. I've always had this belief to kiss to date and to date to marry, and I don't want to have my first kiss being with someone that I'll never meet again, or have an actual connection that doesn't progress further than just a one-night fling. However, in the last 3 months, I've been questioning my beliefs and fear that this may be due to my desire for a relationship. Since being about 14, I've had this loneliness even while having such a loving family and friends, but I lack a romantic connection that I see so many of my friends experiencing. This feeling comes and goes every so often, but it doesn't fully ever go away. So in conclusion, I feel that I may have developed a fear to be vulnerable or to offer something that should feel so special. First kiss, relationship. I would like to know if this is something that others can relate to and how other people have come across their first romantic relationship. I don't know what I'm looking for from this message other than just telling someone, as I haven't had the opportunity to tell anyone else or haven't given myself time to properly think about it. I'd love to hear your thoughts about why I'm thinking this way, or if you have any advice on how I should address this fear to love or be loved. It's crazy. I actually used to feel very similarly to you. I jumped into a relationship just before college because I thought I needed experience in a relationship. And let me tell you, that is the wrong reason to get into a relationship. But I had all these expectations in my head about what romantic interactions had to be that were putting a bunch of unnecessary pressure on me. And then you just end up stressing out about something that should actually feel like exciting. And then the stress to have the perfect romantic moment builds and builds, and then you never actually do anything at all. Oh boy, we're hitting we're hitting close to home on this one. If I could go back in time, I'd tell myself not to worry so much about finding the right person or the right time. That period in life is about trying things and learning from it, even if it's awkward or weird, like literally everything seems to be at that age. You take this at whatever pace feels right to you. There can feel like there's a lot of pressure from culture or friends, and this is actually just a personal thing that is no one else's business. You gotta do you, go at your own pace. Don't put so much pressure on yourself, be open, and this stuff will happen when it happens. Let's go ahead and read another one. Okay, this one is titled, My Best Friend Ghosted Me. So, I'm a girl, and at the time I was at my old school, and I got mentally sick from the workload and had to take a break from it. School, my phone, everything just went silent. Didn't reach out to friends, family, or anyone. So naturally, my friends got concerned and texted me like crazy, including my best friend at the time, who was also a girl. They were asking why I was absent and if I was okay, which I really appreciated. I especially appreciated that my best friend was texting me since she's not on her phone much and doesn't text often. After a while, I got better and reassured them that I was okay, but was moving schools in the middle of the year. They were glad I was okay, but they were sad that I was moving. My best friend and I talked pretty regularly at the time, and we met up at cafes and had fun. Then I planned my Sweet 16 and invited all my friends from my class to have one final meetup before I moved. She was silent for the whole party, which I expected because she's the quiet type. She only really talks to me. After that, we continued to check up on each other and talk, but a bit less. Slowly, she took more time between messages and wrote less and less, which was okay since she said she was more active on Instagram, and I didn't have it at the time. Then on the 1st of March, I sent her a message, and she didn't respond. I didn't think much of it and sent her another one 2 weeks later. No response. At that point, I've already moved schools and I haven't seen her in a while. 2 more weeks, another text, no response. A month later, more texts later, no response. May came and went and still no response. Now we're in July and still silence. At that point, I downloaded Instagram in a futile attempt to see if she would respond. I sent her my account expecting her to follow me, but no, dead quiet. I frantically tried to remember where I went wrong, but I guess our friendship meant nothing to her. I loved her so much. We sat together every lunch, we studied together, vented to each other, and had so many laughs. I guess a little distance got between us and divided us. I still think well of her, and I'm just hopelessly assuming that her phone broke or something. I'm sad that we're no longer friends, but I'm grateful for the time that we had. I guess some people just stay in your life for a chapter. I get emails similar to this one kind of a lot, and frankly, I relate to it. In high school, I had a friend that I hung out with every day. We had all of our classes together and we talked all the time. And then when we graduated, it was radio silence. I never heard from them again. It really sucks, but when you're that age, people are still figuring out how to hold relationships with people, whether it's friends or significant others. And it's not necessarily indicative of anything you did at all. It's just distance is hard. Some people aren't great at communicating when somebody isn't right in front of them. It's certainly something that I had to learn over a long period of time. But I've said this before, it's important for both friends to be putting effort into the relationship. If one friend is doing all the work and the other one is just reaping the benefits of having someone who cares about them, that's not really a friendship, especially when distance gets even greater and you really need to rely on good communication skills. I've seen a few comments asking what this giant, ugly cobblestone cube is in the middle of my base. Really early on, I had this idea to build like a base out of fractals, and so I was just testing to see how it would look. But it's one of the first things that I built in the world, and I don't know, like I kind of can't bring myself to tear it down now. It's ugly, but it's an institution. I don't know, I think I just want this base to feel like the inside of my head. Like just like a lot of nonsense going on all over the place, and no real consistent structure or theme. Anyways, I'll stop rambling. Let's read another email here. How do I tell my parents that I can't continue in our religion? I've been raised Mormon my entire life. Extremely Mormon. Go to church every Sunday, go to the Wednesday youth activities, visit our temples, the whole 9 yards. The problem is, I don't know if I even believe any of it. I'm 18 and fresh out of high school, and in our church that means you can go on a mission. I live in Utah though, so socially that means I have to go on a mission. Side note, I'm diagnosed with ADHD and we're also looking into an autism diagnosis. All that to say, I can't sacrifice 2 years of my life doing nothing but walking around somewhere I've never been, talking to people I've never met about something I don't even know if I believe in. And if I do abandon everything, I don't know what my mom would do. She would be both furious and mortified if she knew all the updates she's given to family and friends about the mission registration were for nothing. My sister left the church too, and that wasn't taken very well initially, but that was years ago and my mom still loves her. And in addition to this, I have plenty of hobbies and passions that would have me ridiculed if anyone in my family found out. I've thought about just running away and moving out as fast as possible, but that's more of a last-ditch effort. What am I supposed to do? I picked this email because I thought somebody in the comments might resonate with this. I don't really know much about the Mormon Church, but I think there are plenty of resources online about leaving the church. I definitely agree that you probably shouldn't be a part of something that you don't truly believe in. And I mean, you're 18 now. You're a full adult and you can make your own decisions about what you do with your life, especially when it involves what you believe in. It sounds like it went all right for your sister, though. I would talk to her about what she did when she left. Apparently, talking to sisters is a theme for this video. But I would start there, see how she handled the conversation with your parents, and then read some comments. Maybe somebody down there has some similar experiences. The easy way out might be going on the mission trip and then slowly phasing out of your faith over time, but it sounds like you want out of it now, so you might have to have that tough conversation with your parents. I know that's kind of brief, but I don't like to say too much if I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's read another one. This subscriber writes, so for a little under a year now, I, 17 male, have been in a band with my friends from my high school. After some discussion, we're considering kicking out a member of the band. When the band came together, me and a friend from my high school's marching band connected over our taste in music. We have broadly similar tastes, but our individual preferences are different enough that we're able to show each other new things often. We decided to get together and make the kind of music that we listen to, and we continued like that for a while. They like to play the drums, I like to play guitar and sing, and we realized pretty quick that we'd need a bass player to actually fill out the band's sound. Finding a bass player who was both a good enough player to be in the band to begin with, but one who wasn't taken was actually pretty hard. But after a couple months, we recruited a mutual friend who we knew from marching band as well. At first, everything was great. He's no virtuoso, but he's a solid player. Plus, he's pretty funny and a good hang. For at least the first couple months or so of being in the band, he was present and actively contributing to the songwriting and showing up for rehearsals. After those first few months, though, he's just gotten more and more difficult to work with. Getting him to show up for rehearsal is a fight, and even when he's at a rehearsal, he just wants to hang out and doesn't really want to actually play the music. What winds up happening with him is we'll maybe play for 30 minutes max, and then we'll take a break to work on some lyrics, and he'll just get distracted that he gets out of the mood to play, and we wind up getting totally sidetracked. Our drummer and I have been upfront with him about wanting to take the band in a more professional direction. So becoming a touring band, releasing music semi-consistently. The thing is though, with how disinterested he seems to be in putting in any work to be a part of the band, our dream of being professionals is not happening anytime soon. On the one hand, I get that it's hard to balance work, life, and being in a band. Like, to his credit, he does a lot. He holds down a job, obviously we all have school, and he has a girlfriend, plus he's in the band. However, our drummer and I have the same commitments and we still have time to dedicate to writing and consistently rehearsing. If we were to kick him out, it wouldn't be the end of the world necessarily. I can play bass just fine, and I could pull double shifts on recordings. But we can't play any shows without a bassist. And kicking him out would likely set us back a ways because we'd need to replace him before we actually really move forward. My question is letting him go and continuing with a more dedicated band member the move, or should we just tough it out for the time being until a better opportunity presents itself? I'm so bad with confrontation that I would probably just leave him in the band. I would be really bad at having these conversations with the bassist. So I think it's really great that you're having open discussions with the band and being forthcoming about your intentions for the band with him. I've never been in a band before, so I don't know how hard it is to find different players. It sounds like it's probably pretty difficult to find someone willing to play bass. So I would say maybe give him one more chance, like have another conversation and just really make it clear that if he doesn't show up and take the band seriously, that maybe you're thinking about going another direction and finding another bass player. But yeah, if after another conversation or two, the behavior still continues, then kick him to the curb, find somebody that is going to take your dream as seriously as you guys do. I'm glad you guys are making music though. If you ever end up releasing anything, shoot me a follow-up email. I'd love to hear it. Let's read another story here. Okay, this one is titled, My Boyfriend's Mom Literally Hates Me. For a little bit of context, my boyfriend, 20, and I, female 19, started dating in our senior year of high school. We're now entering our sophomore year in college, and we have a mid-distance relationship. He's about an hour and 30 minutes away. Neither of us own a car, so it's a bit hard to see each other often. I'm not religious, but when my boyfriend's mom and I first met, I thought she was sent straight from the pearly white gates of heaven. She was so incredibly nice, and I genuinely thought that we were getting along great. I started noticing some light red flags when we had just graduated from high school, though. I'm from another country, so I don't really get to see my family very often. My grandma had traveled all the way to my city to watch me graduate, and we had planned a joint family graduation party. His mom had gone completely out of her way to make sure that my family was at the furthest table from the rest of the party. She would barely speak to my family, and she clearly very much disliked my grandma. She would also always talk about my boyfriend as hers and only hers. My boyfriend had scored a summer internship at his university, so he would be spending most of the summer away. We started spending a lot of time together before he had to leave, and his mom, for lack of better wording, was constantly up his behind. I mean it, she would call him multiple times while we were on dates to ask where he was, why he wasn't home, or why he wasn't taking care of his younger siblings. Sometimes she would call just to pick a fight, but mind you, she knew where he was because he would always let her know where he was going beforehand. Suddenly, she started alienating me from his family, making up excuses for me not to be around when those things had never been problems in the past. I know how to take a hint, so I stopped coming over to his house, and we stopped hanging out so frequently so that he could have more alone time with his family. This didn't seem to calm her down though, because when I was in her presence, I could feel it in my bones that she didn't want me around. Skipping the boring parts so this doesn't take too much time, we are now a couple days away from him going to college for the fall semester. They got into another huge fight about me, and she ends up not wanting to drive him to college at all. So my best friend, who can actually drive, took us instead. My boyfriend told me that when we were on our way to school, she sent him walls of text saying things like, "I saw how happy you were with her," and "I know you don't want us in your life anymore," and "You don't care about your family," etc., etc., etc. In this part of the email, the subscriber here goes on to describe several instances where her boyfriend's mom used really derogatory language and made negative comments to her face and behind her back. I'm not super comfortable reading it, but trust me, it's not great. I'll continue reading here. After those remarks, my boyfriend hadn't been talking with his family very much. But recently he was on a phone call with his mom and his other sister because their relationship was starting to get a little bit better. And I was really happy for him. Until his sister basically said that I was using him for sex and money. His mom just started laughing, and I remember wanting to snatch the phone from him and yell at both of them. I honestly don't think I've ever felt anger like I did in that moment. My boyfriend didn't say anything to them, he just hung up the call. I was so angry at him, but I knew it wasn't his fault. And taking my anger out on him wasn't going to do either of us any good. We're about to hit the 2-year mark on our relationship, and it's been a year since all of this started. I don't know what to do. I can't just expect him to cut off his entire family because of comments that they've made about me. And I don't want him to lose family over a stupid argument that should have honestly been resolved by now. But I'm so tired of having everything blamed on me like I'm the evil witch who's brainwashing him into distancing himself from his family. This isn't even all of it. I just don't really know how to navigate through all this. I'm sick and tired of the constant slut-shaming and not being able to stand up for myself for not wanting to cause even more drama. I love my boyfriend so much, and I know how he cares for his family. I don't want to take that away from him. His mom has tried to make him choose between us since the dawn of freaking time, and that's the one thing I want to avoid. Sorry this was long, but I need third-party opinions that aren't biased. This situation really sucks. I think she's probably just upset that he's moving on to another stage of life where he doesn't need to depend on her anymore, and I'm sorry that she's taking those emotions out on you. But the things that she's saying to your face and behind your back are unacceptable. And you need to make sure that your boyfriend knows that. And I know he already does, but unfortunately, I think a lot of the responsibility for fixing this situation is going to fall on your boyfriend. He's going to have to be really serious about speaking with his mother and being very clear that he loves you and wants to continue having a serious relationship with you, but that she's making it really difficult for him to have both a relationship with you and his family. Or he's going to have to continue to cut off his family, which I agree personally wouldn't be the ideal decision. But if you want to move forward in this relationship, you're probably going to need to get along with his family. And this isn't on you. He needs to make sure that his family is going to treat you respectfully. And I think you need to make sure that your boyfriend understands that you're not just going to sit there and take abuse from them. For me at least, part of a good relationship is having a healthy relationship with your partner's family. And just remember that if a situation is ever too toxic, you can always walk away from it. But anyways, I really hope his mother stops treating you so poorly, and I hope you guys work it out. The reason I wanted to make this area into a library was because I had this idea where I want to take the emails that you guys send and transcribe them into books and then keep them in this library. I really like that idea. It makes your stories like a part of this world. The enchanting room is coming along nicely. That was the other reason that I wanted to make this a library. Okay, here's a more lighthearted one. The subscriber writes, "So here's an embarrassing story. Don't worry, it's short. During my freshman year, me and this girl went to the homecoming dance together. We both knew that we liked each other. Anyway, we were dancing during a slower song, and I said we should try a dip. A dip is a dance move, if you don't know. She said that the last time she tried a dip, she was dropped. I looked her right in the eyes, said that I was stronger than the guy who dropped her, and then proceeded to drop her too. When I helped her up, she just laughed and said that she didn't mind, but that she would be blaming the bruise on her elbow on me. She still hasn't let me forget it." You know what? I appreciate your moxie. Way to just send it on a new dance move. That's the time to do it, man. And you're definitely never going to drop her again when you dip her. She just may not let you. I'm glad you guys are laughing about it though. And it's definitely not nearly as embarrassing as my high school dance experience. When I was a junior in high school, I asked a girl to the winter formal dance in front of her boyfriend that I did not know she had. Literally the single most mortifying experience of my high school career. So just rest assured that your embarrassing moment is not as embarrassing as mine. I actually really like how easy it is to fly around the cave now. Maybe the hole wasn't a mistake. I do like the library though. I think it turned out alright. It's weird. It's for sure weird. But I think I like the weirdness. This is the finished enchanting room. I just did a bunch of work on it off camera. And here's today's stories. I transcribed them into books. Books are like weirdly annoying to make in Minecraft. And it took kind of a while to copy paste these line by line. But these are the first of many stories being put into the new library. Anyways, that's all the subscriber stories in Minecraft I have for you today. Thank you again everyone writing in, and thank you to everyone watching. And I'm trying to be better about my long-winded outros, so I'll just ask you to please subscribe